Alright guys, we've got a match here from the Lafayette, Indiana store. It's the Game Preserve in Lafayette. It's a match between Namekian Radiant Piccolo and a Blue Resolute Vegeta. 3, and he lays out Earth Ball 6. And I believe he passes and rejuves for the combat. So Vegeta takes his draw in turn. And I think he decides to pass combat as well and rejuve one. So we'll go back to the Piccolo player and see what happens here. Piccolo lays out Namekian Dragon Clan. It ends up making quite a bit of difference in this game, I think, and it's a great Dragon Ball searcher. So the Vegeta ends up entering combat, seeing what he can do here. He starts off with his Vegeta. They rule that it does 4 life because they forget about the constant Vegeta has on his level 1, that his non-styled attacks can only be modified by his level 1 buffer of +2 life cards. But it doesn't really make a difference because the Piccolo top decks Namekian buffer and banishes it all for the endurance. So it doesn't really matter on this case. So then Namekian player throws out Namekian Overcharge, which will do 4 life if it hits. And I believe the Vegeta player blocks it. He does. He blocks with the Blue Round Throw. Then he follows up with Blue Arm Blast, and that will hit for 6 if it hits.
So it's gonna do 6. Yeah.
And it does not. The Namekian player plays the Protective Posture and rejuves it. And then he follows up with the Piccolo effect, which is an energy for 3 life, and he rejuvenates 1. And then Vegeta follows up with the Gallic Gun, which will hit for 9 here because, again, they're forgetting about that Vegeta buffer. You'll see the Piccolo try to endure off some damage, but he remembers that the Gallic Gun can't be prevented. So he takes the full 9 here.
Do you have 1 anger?
The Vegeta player is asking if the Namekian player has anger, but he doesn't. So he just crits off that ball 6. And the Piccolo player ends up using the Dragon Clan right here in this combat. He pulls ball 3 with it, which is a pretty good play considering the circumstances. So ball 3 lets him take the bottom 3 from his discard, put it into his hand, and then he chooses 2 of those cards and shuffles them into his life deck, and then he raises his anger 1. Kinda wish I could see the hand on these so that I could maybe give you some insight into what the Piccolo player is thinking here. Alright.
Alright, so I used the ball, so that's your go.
Okay. Let's just do that.
5, 6.
Okay. Let's just do that.
Alright, so then the Vegeta player follows up with Blue Arm Blast for 5, 6 life. See the Piccolo endures all 4 of it. And then the Piccolo player decides to use his Mastery to search out a Dragon Ball and place it into play. And he pulls ball 7 to place into play. So that will raise his anger 1 due to the Mastery. And the Vegeta player has to pass. So the Piccolo player follows up with
You know, I'm not
What
even
does he
worried
follow
about
up with? What's going on here?
It is.
Oh, he's
when
checking
we
to
get
see
there during
what
combat,
the
all you
Vegeta
can do
level
is
2
pass
does.
or attack.
Okay.
Yeah, or block. And then my non-style attacks do +1 damage. They can't have their damage prevented, and I have a power that raises my anger 1 to 3 stages.
So he follows up by throwing Dig, which will hit for 6
Yeah,
stages
that'll do it.
and 2 life.
6 stages and 2 life.
All right, and is that? Are we going up?
And the Vegeta player is asking if they're going to level or not, which they will.
5, 6, and 2 life cards. Can't be prevented because it's Dig.
There we go. All
And he
right.
tries to prevent off some damage, but he can't because it's Dig. So they go ahead and level.
Why not raise my
And the
anger
Vegeta player decides to go ahead and use his Vegeta power, which raises his anger 1. And it would increase the stages 3, but he doesn't have any to gain. So then the Piccolo follows up with Namekian Eviction, which will hit for 4, 5, 6, 9 it looks like. And it's all unpreventable because of Dig. That definitely hurt. And he goes ahead and crits the anger. And then Piccolo player decides to use Piccolo to rejuve 2 and draw a card, and then he crits the anger again. And I believe they both pass here.
What's his level 3 do?
Really, you have 2 of them? I mean,
Oh, no, he's asking what the Vegeta level 3
first
does.
time each combat, one of your non-style cards is stopped. It stays in play to be used the second time. Your non-style attacks do +3 life card damage.
They were not doing that yet.
Alright, so he decides that he doesn't want to play whatever he's got in his hand.
Tail pass and ball 6 Zwarriorscentral.
So he ends combat and he places ball 6 at the bottom and rejuves 1 because of the effects of ball
Wish I had
6.
those to play anyway.
Then I believe it goes back to the Vegeta player here. No, it goes back to the Piccolo player, sorry. So he draws this 3 and I'm not sure what happens here. He decides to enter, so he's got a 4-card hand to a 3-card hand. And he decides to start out with his Mastery, which he pulls ball 6 back out. It's nice to get that little shuffle effect from the Surge. So he goes ahead and raises his anger 1 from the Mastery. And Vegeta follows up with Physical, I believe. Yep, and it does 7 stages if I'm not mistaken here.
Take it back. Your opponent cannot use effects to advance or lower the main personnel.
Oh, well.
So Piccolo follows up with the double strike, and he shuffles ball 3 back in, and he crits for nothing. And the Vegeta player stops it, and I believe he raises his anger 1.
That's the one that lets you draw a bunch of cards, right?
Once you draw 3 from this, shuffle 3
Oh, he didn't. I don't think he used the effect of that. Well, that's a mistake right there. Oh well. And he follows up with the blue head knock to lower Piccolo's anger to 0, and it will hit for 6 life. He's got 3 endurance, and he endures the rest off with the next card. And he follows up with another eviction,
I can use endurance.
which hits for 6 life total.
5, 6.
And he used endurance, but he didn't actually banish off the endurance. That was another mistake, but it's alright. It's just a casual fun game here. So combat ends and ball 6 is placed on the bottom and Piccolo player rejuves one. And then it switches back to the Vegeta player here. Looks like Vegeta is passing combat, so it goes back to Piccolo. And Piccolo tosses out Earth Ball 4, which makes the opponent mill 2.
No, no, quit, no, go away, go away. Thank you. Okay. Let's go ahead and enter.
And he goes ahead and enters with a 3-card hand.
I'm right there with you.
So let's see what happens here. He starts out with a Mastery, so he pulls Ball 6 back out.
Alright, I'm going to use my mastery.
Okay.
And the blue player uses his Mastery as well. He banishes the blue guard to draw 2.
Then I will Piccolo. Discard.
So then the Piccolo player uses the Piccolo power to rejuve 2 and force a mill. Then he draws and crits for nothing.
I should find out.
And then the Vegeta player follows up with the Face Strike.
Isn't it?
That is a great play, but the Piccolo player has time in his hand and he goes ahead and plays it.
No pass. Yeah, it seems like
And I believe they pass and pass, so combat ends. Namekian player uses Ball 6 and rejuves that time, which is really a big key play. So it goes back to Vegeta here. Let's see what happens. Looks like he enters combat, and he starts off with the Mastery again, and blue guard, so he gets to draw 2. And he starts off with the Mastery yet again to pull. Which ball does he pull on this one? Interestingly enough, he pulls Earth Ball 3, so that's on the table now.
Okay, well I'm just curious. I mean, I feel like that it's working. That you just show, like you're just rejuving and keep staying alive longer than I am, but I'm not 100%.
So then Vegeta follows up with Betrayal, which will do life card damage, I believe. But it gets stopped, and the stop raises anger and gains the Piccolo stages. Piccolo follows up with the new event that lets the player use the Dragon Ball and then give it to the opponent.
You just give it to me. I don't.
So he draws his 3 from using Ball 3. He draws from the discard again. He chooses 2 and shuffles them into his life deck. And then he gets to raise his anger 1. So that puts him at 4 anger already. Then it looks like Vegeta plays Blue Lunge, and I think the only thing he sees that he can use is the Visiting of the Past. Won't really help him now, but
Yeah.
so I believe that hits.
3, 8 stages.
And then a life card.
Okay, so 0, 1, 2.
So it looks like it hit for 9 stages total. No, it was
You can kick. So for 2 Dragon Balls, banish them. Advance
So Piccolo follows up with leaping kick, and he banishes 2 Dragon Balls.
You're way lower than me, so is it gonna? Is it?
It's a flat 5 stages. It's a flat 5 stages.
Which levels him. And it hits the Vegeta player for 5 stages.
Banished, and I go to level 3.
And it should have been 2 life. They missed that trigger as well. And then the Vegeta follows up with Head Knock, which is just critical here. Takes away all that anger, and then it hits for 5. But it gets endured off. So then Piccolo follows up with his physical, which will hit for 7 stages and 2 life. And then if it hits, he gets to return a ball to capture a ball, but it gets blocked by the blue arm blast. And then Vegeta follows up with his power to raise his anger 1 and gain 3 stages. And then Piccolo follows up with Optic Blast.
6 total, 8 total.
Which hits for the 8 there. So the hit effect, he takes that ball 3. He gets to use all this ball 3 again. And then because of the hit effect of Optic Blast, he gets to draw a card. And then he follows up with Onslaught, which will hit for 6 life, I believe. Vegeta passes, and then I believe Piccolo uses Onslaught again for another 6. And that is the game. Thanks for joining us on this match. Let me know what you thought of the game down below. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't, and definitely comment with any suggestions or ideas or any kind of videos that you guys want to see. Definitely just let me know. I'm new to this thing, and I want to give you guys what you want to see. So thanks again.